Good morning and welcome to the Friday show. I have Dr. McDermott here from Durango Animal Hospital. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
And there, we got you too. Yeah, you guys check in. Let us know where you're watching from. Heather says good morning. Jay and Doc. Jean says good morning. Jen says good morning. We are here with Dr. McDermott at Durango Animal Hospital, and what we're going to cover first is a must-have every dog owner should have in their home. So McDermott's going to talk to us about that. While he's doing that as well, if you're thinking of questions you'd like to ask him, go ahead and drop those in the comments, and I'll read those to him after he shares some really important information with us. So good morning, Doc.
How you guys doing?
Good.
So many of you have heard me talk about this, but I'm trying to get as much word out there as possible. So I created a first aid kit that we are making available, or we've made available for pet owners. It basically has everything in it that I would have in, I would tell my clients to put in a first aid kit. It ranges from wound care to bandaging to, different tools that you might need. And it's kind of got a little bit of everything. And, the stimulus behind it was a client asking me for, recommendations on a pet first aid kit, and me looking them up to try to research them and find out that it was pretty inadequate out there as far as what was available. So, I kind of took off on this journey to try to make something myself. So, I'm very happy. I think, been well received. We're getting close to, selling our first 1,000 bags on Amazon. And so for me, that's just, 1,000 more dogs that have, something available in case something happens at home and they can't get to a vet quickly, or allows them more time to get to a vet. So we are going to be reordering soon, and we still have some in stock. We will probably go out of stock for a little bit, but the goal is to have them back online so everybody can do some good Christmas shopping, because, I don't know what better gift for your friend that has a pet is, a gift such as this. So, answer any questions you have, about the bag. We're pretty excited about it. We are also, I am actually announcing here, and this will be the first place that I've announced it, but we are working on some additional add-ons for the bag that are going to be available. So there was a lot of stuff that I wanted to put in the bag, but also at the goal to try to make it at a price point that was reasonable for everybody. I had to kind of throttle myself down a little bit and make separately. So, we're looking at, having a skin and coat and nail bag, and having a digestive health bag, and having a cat specific bag, and then even looking at a holistic kind of natural remedies bag. And these are smaller bags. They're little bags that can go in the home vet bag, and are like little add-on kits basically. So we're working on finalizing the deal for those, and they should hopefully be available for Christmas as well. So we've got lots of exciting stuff going, and just trying to help out those pets any way we can.
Yeah, and it's really not just a home vet bag, because you've gone above and beyond. Like you said, when you started looking into when people are asking, what do I need to have at home? What first aid stuff do I need to have at home? You saw how little there were in the other vet bags that you could buy. And yours is, and I'm going to pull it. I don't know that you can see it, but I've pulled it up on the screen, and I'm showing everything that's in it, 58 pieces. And everything that's in it. But beyond that too, there's hydrogen peroxide, there's tweezers, and a flashlight. Why the hell would you put a flashlight in there?
Because dogs or cats never have problems where there's light. It's invariably, like, every single time something happens, a broken toenail, a smaller wound, there is never enough light for it. And 15 years of doing this, numerous house calls, I'm always end up in the darkest room possible. So that was one of them. That was a must-have for me. Depending on, and then when you need to find a flashlight for something like that, then you can't find it. So that's the goal, is to have everything that you need right there, so you can grab the bag off the shelf and get what you need out of it.
Yeah, and it's more than even that, because so I can grab the bag. My dog just ate let's say, because this has happened to us in real life, ate a pack of gum. I am fortunate I have you on speed dial. But those that don't, they grab their vet bag. Tell us what you have done beyond just having items in a bag. Like, how the hell are you going to help me? My dog just ate something. I don't know if it's poisonous. I don't know what I need to do. Now what?
Right. So I've basically created a first aid manual as well. And so the first aid manual goes through, I think we're up to like 23 or 24 different conditions or situations, and addresses how to handle each one of them, and talks about, there's even color coding of, as far as like, okay, this is something that you can probably take care of at home yourself and see how it does, or hey, this is something you need to call a vet right now and you need to get taken care of. With our new order, the information in the first aid kit is going to be pretty much the same. We are updating the manual. It's going to be a little prettier, but like I said, the information is going to be the same. It also is updated a little bit to include some of the stuff that's available in the mini kits, the add-on kits, but it will tell you what you can do. And then there's also, for those who have a tough time, reading something versus seeing it in a video, and it makes more sense to see something in person or hearing something, you can scan a QR code in the first aid kit, and it will take you directly to my video.
To a video. I need to restate this, because here's the deal. When you are panicked about something happening, or your dog ate something, or they get hurt, you don't want to sit and try to read a manual, and you understand that. And so I can have my phone and I can scan, it will pull up a video. I can be listening to the video while organizing, pulling out the stuff you're telling me to pull out of the first aid kit. It's literally like having you right there. I mean, this is huge. Nobody has done this. Nobody has a vet on speed dial now, and that is exactly what he is giving you.
And I always tell people I'm probably the worst salesman. I mean, my goal is not to sell stuff. My goal is to get healthcare out there for pets that need it when they need it. And so all of those videos are available on the website, which is www.homevetbag.com. You don't have to have a kit to use them. They're there if you need them. I just want to make sure that they're available for as many people as possible. And so that is, there's a resource for you. I do think that it works better when you have the things that I'm talking about that you can use that are in the kit. But like I said, there's nothing that keeps you from putting together your own kit. But I will tell you, after working on this for at least 6 months to a year before we even introduced it, putting these things together and trying to get everything in one thing together, it's going to cost you more than what it costs to get the kit. And like I said, I've done all the research and found all the right stuff for you, so it makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah, it's all together. And then you've got the manual, you have QR codes to scan, you have videos to watch, and even following you on social media, on Instagram or Facebook, Home Vet Bag. You're constantly pushing your videos out there, reminding people, hey, this is what you need to do if this happens. Hey, this isn't as uncommon as you think. You just had one about nosebleeds on there, and what you can do. So the constant free content too for our pets is truly incredible. Tell me, because this is another, I don't think people realize, why is there hydrogen peroxide in the Home Vet Bag? People don't realize how important this is, and this one thing alone has saved my dog's lives. Why is there hydrogen peroxide in there?
So most people see hydrogen peroxide, they think of wound care, and hydrogen peroxide can be useful with wounds, but I only recommend it for the initial cleaning of the wound. After that, it actually slows the healing process of a wound. So you don't want to use hydrogen peroxide constantly for wounds. But what it is great for is it can be a remedy to help dogs vomit up stuff that they've eaten. Now, obviously, you don't ever want to do. It's just like like a person. When you call poison control, they're going to tell you if you ate something that's if someone ingested something that's like caustic or sharp or anything that could hurt going down, it can hurt coming back up. So, but yes, if your dog ate a pack of sugar-free gum that can kill them, then a couple capfuls of hydrogen peroxide can make that come right back up. So yeah, I mean it's just something that's nice to have handy, and these are certain things that are very time sensitive. Every day we have dogs that come in and they ate something 4 hours ago. We can't make them throw up at that point. I mean, there's no point in making them throw up because most likely it's already digested through or gone through their system. But if you have something right then when you find what's going on, it gives you a greater chance of getting those things out.
Yeah, and that's what happened to us. Our dogs got into gum that had xylitol in it, and xylitol is very deadly. By the time we would have gotten them into you, our drive, an hour and 15 minutes, and it could have been too late. So being able to administer hydrogen, if you have a dog, you have to have hydrogen peroxide because if they do eat something. But like you said, the disclaimer is if it's caustic, if it hurt going down, you don't want it to come back up. And, people ask a lot, well, they ate a sock. Should I give them hydrogen peroxide? What would you say about like socks and rocks and that stupid stuff that they eat?
I usually recommend against using hydrogen peroxide for that stuff. If it's something very small, or like I said, mainly use it for, hey, I dropped this pill on the ground, or I dropped, more medicine, substances that they're not supposed to eat that can be, affect them in a chemical way more than an obstructive way. Have I seen crazy stuff come up from vomiting that dogs have ingested? Yes, but I do recommend being very careful with that because once again, you can do damage coming back up as well. But it definitely has its uses there. And, here's the thing is that, we all are set, for everything in life, there's a budget for things. And, if you can save 3 nights of hospitalization from by having your pet throw up the gum at home and, we get a quick check and make sure, I still recommend seeing your vet, but it means the difference between possibly being there for days on hospitalization versus maybe a night or maybe just kind of a quick check of blood work and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting it up sooner than them, like you said, digesting it and getting it into their system. And even though we induced vomiting and drove to you, they all still stayed the night. And I think one of my girls stayed 2 or 3 nights because her levels still weren't great. So even the time from when I was not home from the time they ingested the gum still was, it's really, really scary. So please go on. You can go on Amazon. I know someone's asking for the link. I've got the picture here, what it looks like. It's Home Vet Bag. You can type that into Amazon or just go to homevetbag.com. I have that link on up on top of this video in the Facebook feed. You can order from Amazon or order directly from the website. This is something, it's really easy to be like, oh, we've never had an emergency or, all it takes is that one time and you will wish that you had this bag, that you had the QR code, that you had the manual, that, it really can save their life. And, or for some of the smaller things, if you're educated, if you are empowered to know how to handle a sting bite, a bee or a scorpion, maybe you don't have to take them to the vet. You have some of that information in the manual and you tell people, okay, administer this and then take them to the vet, or administer and do this and then watch. And if you see this, then take them to the vet, correct?
Correct. That's exactly right. And the goal is, like I said, once again, it's not to replace a vet, but what it is going to help us do is maybe make those situations that could avoid going in, that are more minor, or buy us more time when we do need to go in. And most of these things, even some of the small things, like you said, it's like by the time that you go in and get minor meds, you're going to be at least the cost of the bag. So, you save one event and it pays for itself. So,
Gina's asking, how much peroxide do you administer if you do want to induce vomiting?
So it's not usually a lot. The dosing is actually in the first aid manual, but it's usually not more than a couple, 2 or 3 capfuls at the most for a big dog. For a smaller dog, like a capful of the hydrogen peroxide.
Yeah. And then if they don't vomit, then if you give them a couple capfuls or a quarter cup and they don't vomit, then what?
Then that's when you definitely need to get them in, because like I said, some of them, depending on what's going on with them or, certain things that could be going on with the body, it doesn't always respond, but most of the time it will. But if it doesn't, then that's when you kind of need to get them in for something stronger.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. We're going to go through here now. Go ahead, of course, ask any questions even if it's not related to the home vet bag, if you have any vet questions, go ahead and drop those now, and I'll read those to Dr. McDermott, who is joining us from Durango Animal Hospital in Las Vegas, Nevada. Those of you that don't know, we've had a few new followers. You are our vet for 4A Kennels.
Oh,
You do,
happily.
yep, you do almost all of our health testing on our dogs that you're able to do. You do oh yeah.
I was gonna say I was down at your place yesterday looking at puppies, so it was
Just
good time.
doing all of our vet clearances. All of our puppies are seen by Dr. McDermott before they go home to be given the all clear. Do the vaccine, we do the fecal, you do their health check. All of that is done before puppies go home. You also take care of our moms and our dads and do most of our health testing. The only thing you don't do is the cardiologist, the eye exam that we have to see a specialist for, but you do the OFA patella, OFA hips, OFA elbow, OFA heart, the osculation, not the echocardiogram. Our Cavaliers do see the heart specialist, so you also take care of most of our health testing as well. So,
and occasionally a horse.
And occasionally a horse. I know. I had to look at our Toby yesterday. I think it's time to get teeth floated. We hope that that's the only issue with our special boy. Okay, Mary Margaret has a question. Where do you get the home vet bag?
So either way, you can get it on Amazon or you can get it on the website. Honestly, it's about the same. Whatever. I think if you're a Prime member, it's probably a little less expensive with shipping, but it's not a big difference as far as Amazon versus getting it on the website.
Okay, yep, and we've got that on our. It's on this Facebook link at the title, or like Friday with the Fories. We've got homevetbag.com on there. And then, of course, you can search for Home Vet Bag. Let me make this a little bigger so you can see Home Vet Bag right there in your search in Amazon. Just make sure it's this black bag with the red emblem on it and says Home Vet Bag in red. It looks just like this bag there.
And if any of your viewers do end up getting the bag, which I appreciate, I would also very much appreciate any reviews that they can give online on Amazon. It just helps it become more aware for people. So, the thing that I've learned in this whole endeavor, which has been interesting, is people realize that they need a first aid kit. And so, it's pretty rare when somebody goes in and searches pet first aid kit into Amazon. But there's probably some of the stuff that people buy for their pets off of Amazon. There's first aid kit should probably be purchased more frequently than some of the other things. But when we get those reviews and people tell hey, this was awesome, it was helpful, or had good stuff in it, those reviews help push us up further up so that more people get to see it and become aware that it's available to them, because they don't have this resource.
Do you know that you're Amazon's choice for your bag?
No, that's the first time I've heard that. That's awesome.
Check it out. Amazon's choice.
Moving up.
You're moving up the world. Number three. You're number three. Amazon's choice, the third bag, and there's a reason for that. So super exciting. Well done. Amazon's choice. All right. Let's see here. Here's a question. Yeah, you guys just go buy the bag. Believe me, if you have a dog at home, you need to have the correct medical tools at reach in your hands. Sorry. If you have kids, you have medicine cabinets. If you have a child, everybody has a thermometer. You have ibuprofen, you have acetaminophen, you have allergy medication. Everybody, when you have children, you have your little stock of stuff. You've got your Band-Aids, you've got your Neosporin, you have your Boo-Boo Juice wound care. You have that for your children. We forget, if you have a dog, you need to have the same thing. Dr. McDermott could not make it any easier for you. He's put everything together for you in a nice bag that can travel with you as well if you travel with your pet, and has a manual, QR codes, and how-to videos. You can read or watch what to do. So just go buy that now. Go on Amazon. It's an Amazon choice, or go to his website. All right, another question here. Here we go. Let me hold on. Paw Pad Care, and I think you're going to add this in one of your extra packs, right?
I am. So the skin care and coat care add-on kit, excuse me, is going to have. So I'm a huge fan of like paw butter. There's different brands that are out there, but they're basically a balm that you can use. But the great thing is you can use them on paw pads, you can use them on elbows, you can even use them on those crusty noses that some of these dogs get. And so yeah, that is one of the things that was a must-have for me. And it was hard to add into the first aid main manual or kit, but it's something that I think it should be part of. Every household, just like most of us have chapstick laying around, same thing for the dogs.
Yeah.
So that is something that is, I think, helpful. And, the goal too is to make it available on Amazon, where it'll be most of the products that are available in the kits will also be available individually that you can find on there. So it's just a resource to help you find the stuff that I've tried out that I think helps. And I think it's beneficial for pets.
Yeah.
So you may not want the whole kit, but maybe you just want that. I've tried 3 or 4 different brands of paw balms on dogs that were here to see which one I thought helped the most.
Okay, I can't wait to see which one you picked. All right, she had furthermore with paw care. What about, and we've dealt with this too, these dogs that cut their pad. They cut their pad. So they go hiking a lot. Their dog will not wear boots. And we have had a couple cuts on their pads, and we're a long way from the vet. What is something we could have had with us to help them if they do cut the paw pad?
So the big thing is you want to have it clean, and then you want to bandage it up so that they can walk the rest of the way and make it home without having any more dust and dirt and things get jammed in there. So luckily the paw pads heal up really fast, but we want to clean them out really well. And so things like some Neosporin and even a little betadine pads to clean up, and then something, just a mild bandage. I mean, I always caution people about bandages. They be very helpful, but you also want to be very cautious with them, because a bandage applied incorrectly can do more damage than good. And so you want to make sure that you have those materials available, just something to wrap it up to protect it more or less. And so but most of the time, as long as it's not a super deep cut, they'll usually heal up on their own. Same thing goes for blisters on the pads, things like that. Just keep them clean, bandage them up, and they'll heal right up.
Yeah. One little trick we've done too, I'll share, but I'll do the disclaimers too, is we'll put a sock on them and duct tape around the leg. But a few disclaimers: don't leave them unattended if they pull the sock off, and the duct tape can't be too tight, clearly, to cut off circulation. But it's been a great way. And if you're out, you can use the first aid kit to clean, the betadine, the Neosporin, put one of your socks on if you have duct tape, usually most people do, or the medical tape in there, and just wrap it around up higher on the leg, and then at least it's kind of protected. So.
Well, and our new kits are going to have, they're going to be coming out here in a month or two. They're going to be all the same stuff in there, but they're also going to have, they're going to have individual packets, so little little plastic cases for each set of things. So there's going to be one for the first aid tools, there's going to be one for the bandage material, there's going to be one for wound care. So you can grab, and they're going to be hopefully about the same size as the mini kit. So you can go through and say, on hiking, you can grab the wound care and the bandage one and throw them in your bag, and you don't have to bring the whole bag with you. It's kind of the thought process behind it. So that's kind of where we're moving. But like I said, it just provides these kind of secondary kits that you can use for specific reasons.
Yeah, and I'm showing here now a picture of everything that's in there, and you can see there's gauze, there's tape. So everything in there you would be able to, you got your medical tape and your self-adhesive bandage wrap, non-adhesive pads, gauze, and cast padding that you could wrap that paw up and get them home safely after you clean it. So everything is in there. Awesome. Okay, Schroeder Heather from Kentucky now checks in. Schroeder was allergy tested at 10 months old. He's allergic to most things and all kibble except one. When should we test him again to see if his panel has changed?
So most likely the panel has changed to some extent. The allergies are constantly evolving. So, they're going to be, they may be allergic to one thing now, but a different thing in a couple of months. So, and it also depends on environmental versus food stuff. So the food is definitely going to shift quite a bit. So I usually tell people that if you want to recheck it, if you're concerned about it, whether they start showing more signs than they were showing before, if they're still doing well on the changes that you've made, I don't think you need to really recheck it. But if you're starting to see new things pop up, that's where I would recheck it.
Like every 6 months, or just if anything changes?
If anything changes, honestly, I don't think you need to monitor what they're allergic to, unless, like I said, they'll show you by having more issues if they're allergic to something new.
Okay. And then how would people know if they're allergic to something?
So, there's really a few different main types of allergies that occur. We're very fortunate in Las Vegas that we don't have fleas, because flea allergies is one of the number one things. Even with good flea control, all it takes is one flea to jump on a dog that has a flea allergy, and they'll be itching for weeks. And so that is one major thing, but we don't really have those, so that's kind of nice. But other than that, we look at food and environmental causes. And so normally, when they have a reaction to something, they're going to have the itching, redness of the skin. They may itch to the point to where they get the hair off of there. They can even scratch to the point to where they can just have wounds, basically. So mainly, it's going to be the itching is what we're going to see. But like I said, it can progress, and a lot of times we have more issues with the secondary infections than we do with the actual allergy itself.
Okay, awesome. Kiana says she's definitely going to order one of the home vet bags. Good job, Kiana. Thank you. She's got one of our Healing Hearts puppies in Seattle. Penny will be coming back down. You'll probably be spaying her. She'll be spayed down here, so you'll get to see her again. Diabetic alert dog in training for her daughter Grace, who we love. I need to move to Nevada near you. My vet's around here or against breeders. Of course, this is one of my breeders tuning in. There is definitely that issue and concern of breeders having a hard time finding a breeder-friendly vet. Any advice?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is unfortunately over the years there's been um, just like anything in this world, whether it be pet owners or breeders or people who own cars, whatever. There's always going to be that subset of people that make a bad name for other things, right? So a lot of it has been that veterinarians have experienced one breeder or two breeders that were not as ethical and had the care of the animals in mind, like you and your group and the breeders that you work with have. And so they get put in these positions where they're uncomfortable with certain things, and they just kind of steer away from it. And it's unfortunate because it can be extremely rewarding. I mean, just working with you alone. I mean, I was talking to someone the other day about how it's awesome to see these pets go to great homes, and some of these pets go to be service dogs and things like that. And I wouldn't have had that experience. I think I did two of the Healing Hearts dogs yesterday, one here and one out there, and just being able to see that is I don't know, it's very fulfilling for me. So I think that, unfortunately they miss out on that, but it's just I think it's a working together and trying to, show that that's not the case. We want this to be a partnership between the two of us. It makes it a lot more fun. And I think it's beneficial for both parties.
Yeah, okay, thank you. All right, Jennifer wants to know grain-free or not grain-free, the whole big dog food discussion. All right,
My favorite.
walk us
Yeah. Uh, so if your dog has a grain allergy, then it makes sense to be on a grain-free diet. Okay, so the analogy that I will use is that if you have a gluten sensitivity, you should be on a gluten-free diet. But if you don't have a gluten sensitivity, it doesn't really make sense for you to be on a gluten-free diet, right? So it sounds cool, and it often gets made trendy, but it's not really something that's beneficial for every pet and can actually possibly be harmful. So the FDA is still researching right now. They have some concerns that there may be some links between grain-free diets and the development of certain heart conditions in dogs that don't normally develop them. Valvular heart disease, which is common in some breeds, they're seeing in other breeds that are on grain-free diets. So if your dog is allergic to grains, then it makes sense. But otherwise, I don't recommend that as just your baseline diet. It's not, grains are not bad, right? So it's one of those things where they can be helpful. And so just unless you have a reason to look into a grain-free diet, I would not push for that on its own.
All right, good point. Not unless they have an allergy. Mary Margaret said she just ordered 2 bags, one for me and one to give as a gift for one of my pet families as a raffle giveaway, trying to sell the 5 puppies that I need to be sold. You offer a breeder discount in bulk. So breeders out there watching, we probably need to talk about this again in my mentorship classes and group, that you do offer a discount for breeders to buy them in bulk so that they can go home with their puppies. Like, how amazing is that to do, that sending home with the client and the new puppy. All right, Susan asked, oh, did you want to add something?
That's it.
Okay, Susan wants to know, on the Doodle site on Facebook, so many against flea and tick meds. I trust my vet, my guy on Credelio and Inceptor. Is that right? So many blame these meds on seizures and other problems. What is your experience?
I don't think that the data shows that they're a concern. I'm always for reducing the amount of medications that we put animals on, right? So if we don't need to be on something, let's not put them on it. Here in the Vegas Valley, we don't see fleas and ticks, so I don't routinely recommend those medications. I don't think flea and tick medication makes sense if you live in Vegas, unless you go to California or you go to Utah, and I'm going to tell you that your dog needs to be on flea and tick preventative. Flea and tick preventative is very, very safe, okay? But with anything, and that can be flea and tick medication, that can be ibuprofen for humans, that can be eating pancakes. I mean, anything in life, there's going to be someone who's going to have an issue with it, right? So it's not going to react well with them. Okay, so I mean, some guy one time choked on a pancake, but you should still it's probably still okay to eat pancakes. So that's the way I think of these things with like flea and tick medication. If you look statistically at the amount of medications that have, I mean, millions and tens of millions of doses that have been out, the incidence of seizures and issues associated with them is probably, I mean, minuscule. So, we all hear about these things, but they're a lot less common than people realize. So yes, I do recommend flea and tick preventative if you're in an area with fleas and ticks, especially because fleas and ticks carry other diseases like tapeworms, Lyme disease, and numerous other things that are not great for dogs and cats.
Okay, which brands do you recommend? We've got Kiana in Seattle, Washington, with her service dog and training, our Healing Hearts dog. She's asking, what would you recommend for prevention?
So you've pretty much picked the weak link in my chain mail of I don't routinely recommend flea and tick preventative because we don't have fleas and ticks. So one thing that I value, or that I think is very important, is if I don't feel like I'm going to be the expert on something, I'm not going to push for it. I'm not going to tell you, hey, try to make myself look like I know everything. And we do have flea and tick medication. We usually stick with things like Frontline or Parastar, or Bravecto is another big one that's come out that's been very good, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily the best for your pet. So I would say, if you're in an area with fleas and ticks, talk to your vet, see what works for them. Like I said, Bravecto has been a big one coming up because it is a pill that you give, and you only have to give it every 3 months as opposed to a once a month treatment, and it seemed to do very well. But that's, like I said, I prescribe flea and tick medications maybe once every 3 months. So it's definitely not in my wheelhouse as far as what's the newest and best thing out there.
Okay, awesome. We've got a question about shampoo. Which shampoo is best for dogs? Is there a specific ingredient or brand?
So for your run-of-the-mill, just run-of-the-mill shampoos, I do think something with like an oatmeal base to it is helpful as far as kind of soothing the coat and helping with overall coat. As far as particular brands, I don't necessarily know if there's one out there that's heads and toes and shoulders above another one. I think that, like I said, there are specific brands that are very good for particular conditions. But as far as like just the run-of-the-mill dog shampoo, I think you want to stick with a dog shampoo versus a human shampoo, and you want to make sure that, like I said, I think having an oatmeal base to it is helpful. But other than that, I don't get too crazy about it. So.
Okay. And I'm just going to add too, always shampoo twice. It makes a huge, big difference. Shampoo them twice, a good shampoo and rinse. And then depending on the dog, you could throw some good conditioner on them as well. Not human grade though, they stink. It's not formulated correctly. That's why. And so if you're using your human stuff, you're just going to have a horrible smelling dog. Shampoo twice, condition once. All right, we have a question here. They have a dog that is not wanting to eat. The vet said that there's nothing wrong with her. She just doesn't have a good appetite for anything. How can I get her to eat more? She's a sack of bones. Is the
I mean, if you've gone through which sounds like you have gone through the regular kind of just doing blood work and overall checking to make sure there's nothing wrong, then it gets tough. I mean, I always recommend caution with doing toppers on food. I don't have a problem with using them if we're trying to gain weight. Whether we use a little bit of wet food in there. Wet food's going to have a little bit more fat and a little bit more protein. So if we do have an overly skinny dog, it can help build some of that kind of meat on the bones, if you will. But we want to be very cautious with our average dog, and use it sparingly because it can add weight pretty quickly. As far as like over the counter stuff, we try different toppers and things like that to see what stimulates us to eat. There aren't any really good over the counter like appetite stimulants. There is one called mirtazapine, but it's not over the counter. It has to be prescribed by your vet. It will not get a sick dog to eat. So if your dog is kind of on the edge of eating something, kind of push it over that edge, it will help. But if you have, it doesn't good to give it to a sick dog. It won't make a sick dog eat. So.
Yeah, and then just make sure teeth are good too. I think sometimes if teeth are hurting, softening their food or soaking it with broth can help. But yeah, I would definitely make sure too. And I don't know that she said specifically that I told her of everything. She doesn't have anything wrong. So I guess if everything's been checked, but it's not common for a dog to starve itself. And so there always tends to be a concern, I think. All right, let me see here. I don't think there's any new questions. If you guys are just joining in, ask Dr. McDermott. You've got a few more minutes. Any dog or cat related questions, he is here to answer them. I'm going to take this moment while we're waiting for questions. I just want to go over again. I'm going to drop the home vet bag on here. Go to Amazon.com. Order your home vet bag. Don't forget, you have children in your home, you have first aid items. You've got to have first aid items for your dog. And moreover, it's more than just a first aid kit. There is a manual in there. You see on this picture that I'm showing up on top, the manual's in the top flap there. So you can read, but you also have QR codes. So when you open that up, you can scan it with your phone. There'll be more information, what to do, what not to do. Should you seek a vet immediately? Is there something you can do or administer that's in the bag to treat them prior to going to the vet? If he feels that maybe you can just treat at home and then watch if you see something else occur. Then he also has videos. So on those QR codes, you can watch a video of Dr. McDermott explaining what you can do to help your dog. This is not to replace your vet. This is to enhance their care, to empower you, give you more knowledge on some first aid care for your dog. So truly needed. If you don't have one, if you have that hard to buy person for the holidays are coming, what the heck do you buy them? And they have a dog. We just took care of you. You're welcome. Go to Amazon.com, home vet bag. It's an Amazon choice. Go buy the bag and be done. Like, we couldn't make it easier for you, for your dog loving, hard person to buy for the holidays. All right, a few more questions coming in. Yes, the teeth. Penny held off from eating for a few days, barely eating, and I checked her mouth and she'd lost 4 baby teeth. And so she softened the food and then she ate. Good. Shannon has a question. Are silent heats a reason for concern in breeding females? She is swollen, clingy, and a bit whiny, and our male is very interested, but there's no signs of blood or discharge.
No, they're normal. I mean, it's one of those things that occurs. And so, if every heat is a silent heat, then, maybe it's something that needs to be looked at a little bit more. But No, it's not uncommon. We see them pretty frequently, actually.
Any, should they try to breed her or not breed her, or what are your, a lot
I
of,
Yeah, you could try to breed her, but I think that probably, and you may be able to note on this more because you do more of it than I do, but statistically, I think it's going to be less likely to take at that point. So I don't think there's a problem with trying necessarily, but just knowing that it may not be as successful. But I don't know if you've had that experience or not.
we actually, I feel like it gets talked about more than reality, honestly. I think silent heats, we've had very few. And if a female stands, then we breed them. But I know maybe some of it is more of a silent heat, and that's why we have, they're not pregnant. But I would definitely, if she's swollen, I mean, sometimes we also don't see blood or discharge because the females are super, super clean. And so, not that I'm implying that you don't see any blood or discharge, but some females are very, very clean and there's not a lot of either. And then some females are just a hot mess. So sometimes maybe or maybe not. But what I would say, or what I would do at this point, is we run progesterone and see if they're ovulating, and it will give you a good idea. Are you really having a silent heat or a non-heat, or whatever? So at this point, I would, depending on what day of her cycle she is, I would run progesterone. That's what we would do. All right. For neutering, when is the best age to do it? Are there any medical repercussions if it's done too early? Oh, we have stuff to say about this. Or
Yeah. So
too early or too late.
right, it's kind of in that perfect window. So the concern that we have with large breed dogs is going to be that there was a study done that showed that if large breed dogs were spayed or neutered very early, it could affect their overall bone development and likely lead to some arthritis as they got older. And so, we try not to do these spaying and neuterings of large breed dogs at 3 months old, right? So we try to push those back a little bit. Now, there is a difference, obviously, besides the obvious difference between spaying and neutering, but as far as the effects that can occur with males versus females, the longer that we leave those hormones in the body, the greater the chance that we see of developing cancer associated with them. So one of the big benefits to spaying and neutering earlier rather than later is going to be elimination of the potential for cancer. With females, we worry about the potential for mammary cancers. Every time they go into heat, it will increase their chance of mammary cancer to some degree. So if we're not planning on breeding them and we want to spay them, I generally recommend spaying them before their first heat, which usually is between 7 to 10 months. So between 6 and 7 months is when I normally recommend spaying them. Neutering is a little bit different. The only really major cancer these guys get from having the testicles in longer than they should is going to be testicular cancer, which doesn't really matter because we're taking the testicles out when we neuter them. So, there are some behavioral issues that can be associated with having those things longer than they need them. Also, as dogs get bigger, especially large breed dogs, the bigger the dog is, the higher the rate of complication because they're too active and moving around. So I find that
Oh, we lost you. Dr. McDermott, I think you hit mute. All right, hold on. He muted himself. Let me see if we can you unmute? You muted yourself. Yes, has muted. Quit muting yourself. Oh, you're still muted. Hold on. Technical difficulties. Stand by. But I will recap. Females generally before their first heat cycle, which is average 7 months old, you'll spay. Males, if you can wait closer to a year, it depends on the breed as well, especially our golden retrievers and larger breed dogs, if you can let them be fully grown before you neuter. But again, some people do need to neuter a little bit sooner. The goal is that they are as full grown as possible before you neuter. Here we go. He's coming back on here. Is your audio back on? Waiting for him to reconnect. So good question. Spay or neutering, when should it be done? There are studies, if you wait or keep a dog intact, then they do have an increased chance of cancer for both the males and the females. So typically spay and neuter is good. There are risks to let females continue to cycle. They can get an infection in the uterus called pyometra, which is very, very dangerous. And your males as well, if they're not able to reproduce and they have that drive to reproduce because they are intact, some have said that you can have behavior issues with them. They also will not be allowed at daycare, and some boarding facilities will not board an intact animal as well. They don't want to be liable for hormones all over the place. I can tell you with dogs, we live with a pile of dogs that are not fixed, and it's a little bit like high school. Hormones all over, best friends one day, not the next day. So typically spay around 7 months before their first heat cycle, neuter close to a year if you can wait that long. And McDermott is still working on trying to get in. I still don't have audio from you, McDermott. I don't know if you can hear me. We're still having audio issues. No audio still. And I don't think I can fix that on my end. He is working through it right now. Stand by. As McDermott is working. We have a question here too while he's working on his audio. He's gonna leave and then come back. Adelina, I travel with my puppies, but they get very nervous. What do you think about giving them something to help be a little calmer? Should it be over the counter or prescription? I can share with you what I know, and then hopefully McDermott will be back on. He's having technical difficulties. Hold on one second. Showing back in. We'll see if he can get his audio working. It still shows muted. Let's see there. Still cannot hear you. Technology. Love to hate technology. Dogs traveling get nervous in the car. You can try over the counter. You can try Benadryl first. I think that would be a first line if your dog is nervous. But I would also recommend doing some exposure and desensitization in the car. I would first go just sit in the car without it moving or without it started. Do not exit the car until the dog is completely relaxed. A dog cannot stay in a state of anxiety forever. So just take a book out there, take your phone out there. Don't even start the car. Just go sit in the car. As soon as they relax, as soon as they lay down and take that deep sigh, reward, praise, leave the car, repeat. The next step would be starting the car and just sitting in the car started. The next step, and again, not leaving until they're completely relaxed. The third step would be just starting to drive. Do not let the dog exit the car when they are in a fearful state of mind. So the goal is to reward calm state of mind and show them that there's nothing to fear by desensitizing. Also make sure that they're not just going to the groomer or to the vet, that every car ride is associated with something negative. Make sure you're trying to do positive association with the car, special treats they only get while in the car, a bully stick, so that it's super positive. So I would also work on some behavior modification to help them as well and not rely just on medication, because this is a lifelong concern. We don't want our dogs fearful in the car. So do some desensitizing, but you can try Benadryl, 1 milligram per pound. So a 50-pound dog would be 2 25-milligram tablets. It would make them drowsy. You can also talk to your vet about sedatives as well. But again, depending on their age, and especially if they're younger, let's try to help them through their anxiousness in the car. Take them on a road trip. That's what I did. I had my Hannah, my original Hannah was the same way, and I ended up taking her on a road trip. Like, you have no way out. You're gonna find that there's nothing wrong with the car. She still doesn't love it, but there's not that anxiety and any stress either. So McDermott's trying to log in one more time. Let's see. I've got you. I've got you on screen. No audio. Oh,
Can you hear me?
yes.
Okay. It's showing me it kept showing there. It finally worked. I have it unmuted and it kept showing me that I had a line across me. I couldn't get to go away. So good.
Gosh dang it. Okay. Want to move? There you go. Stay right there. So of your screen.
Anxiety.
What's that?
And I agree with your answer about anxiety. Good
Okay.
job.
I covered okay?
Yeah.
Let's try to work on behavior, but start with Benadryl. Bye, honey. Love you. Have a good day. Okay, Don, real quick with poodles, do you feel ear plucking is a must or not? I see different information on Facebook constantly. McDermott, I have our screen split, so slide to the right a little bit. Can you slide there?
No, right.
Sorry, my right. Go the other way. There. Yes. Okay, stay right there. Okay, gotcha. Ear plucking. Poodles, yes or no?
So it falls into the category with anal glands for me, where if it's, I kind of monitor to see if it's an issue. If it's not an issue, I don't mess with it. But if you're seeing discharge building up there, it's pretty easy to see if they have ear hair in there. If you see the ear hair, it should be plucked.
Okay. Because it traps in moisture and it traps in bacteria, and then they get ear infections.
Yep.
Now, there's things that you can do to help make the ear plucking more tolerable.
Yeah, so I don't know if everybody's, but there's different products that you can use that you can put in that kind of little numb area a little bit and make it a little more tolerable. It's also kind of, I think, the way that you do it as far as like pulling them out of there. But I don't know. That's the main thing that we use. I don't know if you have any things that you guys use.
Just there's powder you can dust in there. Yeah, the powder. That's all we do. At the end of the day, it's one of those things you start when they're young and it's quick. It might be a little uncomfortable, but it's far better, let me tell you, than them getting an ear infection. That's painful. Like this is short-term, little uncomfort. All right, we're going to talk about balls. Here we go. One more question from Yvonne. She promises. You're fine, Yvonne. Bring it on. In males, is it a concern when both testicles don't descend at the same time? We've dealt with this. Give us the overview of an unascended, descended, unascended, ascended testicle.
So I don't care that they descend at the same time. I just want both of them down by the time of age. So the way that anatomy works in mammals is that the testicles actually start off very similar location where the ovaries are in females, and they basically move their way down over the course of the gestation as well as shortly after birth. And so there is a tunnel that connects the abdomen to the scrotum called the inguinal canal. And so they move through that and go into the scrotum. For the first 6 months of life with dogs, that canal is still open. It's still, the highway's still running. So they can actually pull the testicle back up especially if you scare them or they, something startles them. But it can move back and forth still. But after that point, it closes down, and the testicles should be descended by that point. If they're not, we need to neuter that dog. So a study showed that testicles that are undescended are about 13 times more likely to become cancerous than the ones that are descended. Nature created a pretty cool thing with the scrotum. It basically helps with the testicles have to be at an exact temperature for them to be healthy and function properly. And inside the body, it's too hot, so they basically create basically like a tent outside for them to hang out in. That allows them to be not as hot as the rest of the body, and they have mechanisms and muscles that help pull them up closer to keep them warm when it's cold, and so it's a kind of cool temperature regulation thing. But when they're inside and they're at that normal body temp, then that's not where they're supposed to be, and it can cause a kind of a proliferation or an increase in the amount of cancer.
Yeah, and it was fascinating because we've had very few ascended testicles, but we had one recently from a puppy, and McDermott did his little magic thing and went up into the belly and wiggled it on down, and we hope it stays down, and like something as simple as that is pushing it down. The goal is now, hopefully, you have now prevented this puppy from it staying an ascended testicle, which was really kind of cool. I learned something new. When I
Imagine.
brought it down, I'm like, okay, well, good work. Yeah. So that's the goal with puppies too. So all the breeders watching as well, make sure your vet is checking for those, and you can hopefully bring them down, and they'll stay down. All right. Um, Letitia, my dog's last two teats are discolored. This was her second litter, and this did not happen with her first litter. With the second litter, she did have the start of mastitis. Luckily, because of the daily badass breeder checklist, I caught it right away. Will teats color come back to normal or stay darker? Not swollen, no redness or pain when touched. Talk about boobs now. We went from balls to.
It all. Right? My answer to the question would be maybe. They may come back. They may also have stayed at pigment. If it's pigmented just because of irritation, or maybe that was a popular site for the puppies. If they were continually going to a couple of the teats, that constant stimulation can cause some change in their pigment. But it's not harmful if it does stay the same. So I wouldn't stress about it. If it changes, it might change back. But if not, don't worry about it.
Yeah. And based on our experience, our statistics, our data, they'll go back to the normal color. They will get a little, and when you say discolored, I'm thinking, Letitia, I'm guessing black or almost black. It's a little alarming. We've never had any mom stay that way. Retired, going into retirement or going into another litter, everything has gone back to normal. Okay. All right, I think we are caught up. I think we are good. Someone else said they can use the crate in the car for their safe place too when traveling. That's another great option. Put the kennel in the car and help them feel safe. We love kennels. Kennel training can be beneficial for so many different reasons. Yeah, Letitia said, yeah, black. I know, it's alarming. It's really alarming to see a mom coming off a litter and be all black. I think I about had a heart attack the first time too, and it doesn't hurt. There's nothing wrong, that I've ever found. And once they heal and things get tightened back up and the color goes back to normal. So for me, in my experience, it's actually very, very common. Right. Okay, you guys, go to Amazon.com or go to homevetbag.com. Buy your home vet bag today. If you have a dog, you have to have one. It's just part of your dog supplies you need. Not only is it a first aid kit, but it has QR codes where you can watch videos, and Dr. McDermott tells you what to do. You have a manual, you can read it. It's like having a vet on speed dial. So now you are all as lucky as I am to have Dr. McDermott in your pocket, on your phone. Grab your vet bag. It will not replace our amazing vets and everything that they do, but it will help empower you, give you the knowledge there are some things you can treat at home, and it will save you from a visit. And right now, especially, we had a huge puppy panic buying during COVID. And now here's the thing I don't think people understand. Everybody wanted a puppy during COVID. So breeders started producing puppies. We had a huge amount of dogs produced last year. Dr. McDermott, were you able to produce more veterinarians to accommodate for this growth?
No. If we did, it was very. So yeah, it's basically the past year and a half for most veterinarians. And I'm not, I know everybody's gone through a lot of the past year and a half. I'm not asking for any kind of special sympathy or anything, but the best analogy I can come up with is we've basically been drinking from a fire hydrant for the past year and a half or so. Most vets, we've struggled to keep up with stuff. I mean, we've not only have we had, an issue across the board. Everybody has issues with staffing currently, but it definitely in the veterinary profession. We've not increase the number of veterinarians, really. A mild increase from graduation, but it didn't have as much of an effect. Nowhere near what it should have. And the number of veterinary pets seen, I think yearly by a vet went up by like 1,000 pets per year. So something ridiculous. I mean, it's a lot. So, we have definitely been overwhelmed, and we're trying to address it the best way we can. So, go easy on your vet. I mean, like I said, give them this little pass if it's busy or you have a hard time getting in. We're all trying our best, and everybody approaches it differently. We have tried to, we've heard that people have had a hard time getting appointments. We made a decision. Most vets were going to an appointment only basis. They were not seeing walk-ins. They were not doing that. So if you had been going to your vet for 20 years and your dog got sick one day, they're not going to see you because they're full up on appointments. You're going to have to go down to the emergency clinic and you're going to wait for 6 or 7 hours. And we did not feel like that was the best way to handle stuff. We felt like we could better pivot and handle any emergency if we still were seeing walk-ins and had a walk-in presence. Well, we didn't realize that we were going to be seeing all the walk-ins from the country or from the city. And so, it got very, very busy. And so, yes, there are days where we had a 3-hour wait for a walk-in. But, for every person that was upset about waiting, I had someone who was thanking me because they wouldn't have got in to see their pet to be seen at another vet, So, we all, I always tell people, we all need to be considerate of each other, everywhere we go, but just realize that there's a little more to the story than, we're not just sitting back and drinking tea and having our feet up. I mean, it's running and gunning all day long, from open to close, skipping lunches, skipping bathroom breaks, trying to get the stuff done so that we can take care of as many pets as possible. So, it's been a year and a half. It's been real and it's been fun, but I wouldn't say it's been real fun. So it's.
Oh, and I want to articulate again so people understand, because you're so polite about things. Shift to the left real quick because you're kind of off screen. Shift back to the left. There you go. No, nice try. The other, shift back. Go the other way. Go the other way. Doc, there you go. A little more. Okay, perfect. All right. They decided, most vet clinics, because of the huge push, there wasn't more vets and there were lots more puppies, because there was literally panic puppy buying during COVID. Everybody wanted a puppy. The vet staff nowhere in the United States was capable of this huge influx of pets. So many veterinary offices decided to stop taking emergencies and walk-ins. I don't think you realize what that means. If you can't take your dog to the vet for an emergency, your dog dies. Durango Animal Hospital decided instead, okay, we can't do appointments anymore. People will have to walk in, so that we are one of the few animal care centers in Las Vegas to continue seeing emergency patients. That means your dog gets hit by a car. That means your dog eats xylitol and is dying. When it's your freaking dog dying, you want to be able to walk in, carry in whatever you have to do, your dog to a vet and say, please save my dog. But when they do that, everybody sitting in the waiting room to get vaccines and be seen has to wait. And that's what they decided to do. But in doing so, you got a lot of shit. You got a lot of complaints about people like, I can't get in to get my vaccines. I can't, we sat there for 3 hours. But please understand, you were sitting there for 3 hours with your healthy damn dog while somebody else was praying that their dog made it. I'm not trying to make light of getting in to get your dog's vaccines or whatnot, but I'm trying to articulate what the pressures have been over the last year and a half for you and your staff. You are one of the few clinics that continue to take emergency patients. There are still clinics that are not taking emergency or walk-in. Like, people don't understand what that means. If you can't walk in with an emergency, well, good luck finding somewhere to take your dog, or go to the emergency clinic and pay 5 times the amount, and you still may wait. So on behalf of 4E Kennels too, on keeping up with our dogs, getting health tested still. Like we still have shit to do, right? Like we still need dogs health tested to see if they could be in the program. We have had emergencies. We had, what, 2 C-sections. We have a mama fighting for her life there now. I mean, we've had emergencies and you've been able to continue with your quality of care. So all of you all sitting out in the waiting room, I am sorry. I know it stinks to wait, but please understand the reason why you're sitting there waiting is because there's other dogs fighting or cats fighting for their life. And thank God it's not yours. That's all I have to say. So thank you to your staff. Thank you to you. I know it's been a really, really long year and a half. So make sure you're taking care of yourself and your staff.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. All right, you guys, Dr. McDermott with Durango Animal Hospital, go buy the home vet bag. Maybe you won't have to sit out in the waiting room because maybe you'll be able to take care of a few little things at home first and know that it's not an emergency. No, you cannot call and get an appointment right now because they have decided to be able to take walk-ins and emergencies because so many people are not. But what if they do want to get a vaccine or just my dog has an earache or my dog's not really eating? What does it mean now to be a walk-in? What does that look like?
So we're actually starting to open up more appointment slots because things have finally started slowing down, literally within the past couple of weeks.
Okay.
And I will say, I never thought it was so unpopular for deciding to try to take care of sick pets. It was really, it was a little bit of a surprise, but we've had clients that have been with us for a long time that left because they couldn't schedule a vaccine on the day that they wanted to do it. And, during that time frame, we were triaging 3 dogs that were trying to die, and it was tough. It was tough, but I mean, everybody has to do what's best for themselves. But right now, we have slowed down. We got a point to where I actually literally early this morning, opened up a bunch of appointments in October. So we do have appointments that are available. Okay. We are still seeing walk-ins. The walk-in time has gone down significantly. We're almost less than 30 minutes lately compared to a while there. We actually had people that were sitting in lawn chairs in the back of their trucks out in the back in our parking lots. And so, but it has gone down significantly. And we are also, like I said, the good thing is it has trained us to be very efficient in dealing with, rooms and stuff like that. And we've added necessity. So, we have improved on our efficiency. So now that it's slowed down, we're moving pretty well. So, yeah, I mean, it's if you need something, come down and come see us, call. We do have some appointments available. And we will get the vaccines done for you. And like I said, I always ask people, no matter what, whether it's us or it's, the cable company or it's the restaurant you go to, just keep in mind that, everybody's struggling through this and we're all trying to do the best job we can. Honestly, there's no one that's like, hey, I'm going to not provide good service. That's my goal. We all want to try to do a good job and help out. And, where I think we're all trying to get through it. And it's I think, hopefully, knock on wood here, but it hopefully is starting to ease up a little bit.
Yeah. And like I just need to say again, there wasn't like, hey, it's COVID. There's going to be a lot more puppies produced. Thank you, breeders. We were helping you. You all wanted puppies. No, I will say 4E Kennels did not have not one extra litter to accommodate panic puppy buying. We were not one of those. But there weren't vet schools. There weren't like this big push of at the same time, hey, we got to get vet. And it takes how long to get to vet school? Like and you have now even left a few times and you're leaving again soon. You're trying to recruit vets. But the deal is we had all of these puppies that there's not more staff. There's nothing in place to have more vets or vet techs or anything. Nothing to accommodate the vast majority of these dogs, all these new puppies from COVID that need vaccines and need to be spayed and need to be neutered and having all of their normal puppy stuff too. Anyway, all right, we said it. There we go. We are thankful for you. I'm Jeanette with 4E Kennels, really healing hearts and changing lives with the power of a dog, but we are changing breeding from bad to badass. And one huge component of that is our healthcare, is Durango Animal Hospital, is ensuring we're not only breeding dogs with a good temperament, but they are as healthy as our medical science can tell us. There's a lot unknown, but there's still what we can do. We do it together as a team. So thank you so much from all of us at 4A Kennels and all of our dogs. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, go buy the home vet bag. If you have a dog, you have to have it. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye.